Okay, starting the install on the conversion from a bunk to an office. I've got something in my head, and hopefully it comes out in reality. We'll see. If I got to do it a couple times, I got to do it a couple times. I got nothing but time, so. Taking some measurements off these back bump stops, and they're just, I wanted to keep these just because it's a cleat. There are already holes in the trailer, and just make it easier just for me. But going off, not off the trim, but off the base of the floor, and looking over, it's just like an odd, it's an odd number. It's not an even number. Anything below this cleat, and honestly below the board that was on top of it, you're not going to see. So more than likely I'm going to round up or down something that I know if I add holes to this to the side of the trailer here, like not going, obviously not going through the trailer because it's only like an inch or so wide. It's a measurement I should probably know, but if I pull these cleats off and adjust the height for the substructure I'm going to build on the front side, everything will be at like an even number, easier to deal with. That I'll actually let's get to the Airstream provided chalkboard thingy, that grease board, and do some measurements and see if I need to move those or not, because I'm not going to measure, I'm not going to cut stuff down to 1/32 of an inch. It's not, no, this is not that kind of deal. But it needs to be level across the board. So I don't know what the cool kids do when they're on the road and you're trying to build something that looks good. Put it that way. I got a speed square. A lot of construction guys use this. They're easy to get. So what I'm doing is putting the speed square up as a stop, as a guide, if you will, for cordless circular saw. So I'm gonna set it up and show at least one of these, just so you get a square cut the whole time. Now, it's easy to do things when you got a table saw and everything's set up normal, but here in the Florida Keys, attempting to build a bunk or eliminate a bunk, this is the way I like to do stuff. It makes sense. Anyway, I come in till I see the blade is touching the mark that I want, and now this is square and it acts as a guide. Simple, and everything will stay square that way. And this is the only thing you have to have in your RV if you're doing projects like this. You don't need a table saw, in other words. So definitely not like a cabinet shop, but the method works pretty good. I mean, they're all within a 1/16 of an inch, just using a speed square that your average framer uses. They work magnificently. So I got some 2-inch screws, and drilled a couple pilot holes, and I got these strips. The idea is I'm gonna build out a frame, put maybe 3 or 4. There's no real plan other than that. I don't know. I'm gonna see how it goes. But the only thing I could find in the Florida Keys that I was comfortable using, that I could have like a finished edge and finished product without having a cabinet shop do anything, is actually, this is PVC. It's plastic. It's 1/2-inch plastic, so it's already planning on having a substructure anyway in my initial plan. So I got 2 sheets. It's very expensive. They're like $100 a sheet, but maybe that's a Florida Keys thing. I don't know, but I know that it's not going to care about moisture. It's not going to warp. It's just a matter of making sure that it has enough support structure underneath it to do what I want to do. So this is basically the frame that I had in my mind that was easy to do, that could be load bearing to a certain degree, that I could screw directly into the surface to mount stuff for her office and get out of the way of the stock plumbing that I do not intend to move. So now I got the frame in here. I'm going to measure off where to put another stub out, because I'm going to go that way with the framing. So well, you can see there's an exterior entry port and another one there. Normally the stock Airstream has it like compartmentalized. I'm going to actually leave the whole thing open on the inside so I can fit ideally larger objects in there, but I don't need anything ramming into or breaking any of the plumbing here. So I'm definitely going to put a little 2x2 structure, or 1x1, whatever they call it. So it's really 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 across here, and then I'll put a structure here so that nothing hits the water heater across here, since I intend to have this all open. The speed square is really good for confirming that you're actually square, so you can run her down there, go, yep, square, as you're building something. Hopefully it is good. Made in America. I'm just gonna start by screwing this little substructure I have in. I put this here just because I know that I'm gonna build that way towards the wall. I want to make sure everything's square when I'm done, but I'm just going to measure off the distance of the thickness of the panel that I'm going to end up putting on this, so that it looks right around this edge here. So I'm going to start by screwing this in, and then I'll start measuring off from this to the wall, and make sure it's square that way. And then once I get it where I think it's square, square, I'll start measuring off other areas just to confirm that it's relatively square, because I don't think you can get it exactly perfect. I don't think there's it's not a cabinet shop. You just have to make it look right. That's why they have these like little reveal strip things. You can push it up so you don't see like the aluminum, because they just wing it. They just come through and cut it, because you can't sit there and hand fabricate everything 100%. It's not going to be perfect, is what I'm getting at. But I'll keep recording as I go. I measured off 1 inch across here, because the surface I'm putting on is only about a 1/2 inch. And nothing is what they advertise, is what I'm getting at here. But it's probably like 3/8. It says it's at 1/2 inch, so I know that I'll have a little bit. It'll look good. That's what I'm getting at. And so I measured a 1/2 inch off on the base here, screwed it in, did 2 pilot holes, and now I'm taking a level, and now I'll set up a level off this top bubble and move it around until it's level, and then I'll add my other 2 screws, and then I'll start measuring off as to where this goes. I'm not sure how all the Airstreams are, but ours is a 2019, so it's still on a wood substructure. The new ones are poly. I believe they're about the same width, but anyway, you can see that there's a tank there, and that you definitely, when you're screwing into the floor or something like that, even though any screws that I put in here are going to be hidden by putting the bunk structure back in. I'll just fill the holes basically, so insects or whatever don't get in them. But that's how I took my measurement for the. I'm using I think they're 2-inch screws, interior exterior screws, and you can go okay. Yep, as long as I'm relatively flat, I can even go past maybe an 1/8 or a 1/4, probably a 1/2, like feeling now, and not go into the tank, because you definitely don't want to punch a hole in the tank if you're trying to convert something like this. But anyway, I'm just taking the measuring tape here, and I'm going from that to the wall, and from this over here to the wall, and I have this level in here just to make sure that I'm not going off. It is pretty much staying like right on the level anyway, but just to confirm. So I'll take plenty of time to do this because this is my starting point, so that way I can just, when I go to cut a piece, I can cut one piece from here to the wall, and not have to worry about any kind of run out, other than hopefully less than a 1/16 or 1/16 to a 1/4 inch max should be fine, because I can put like some weather stripping across the leading edge. I don't want it all the way rammed onto the steel if I don't have to. Doesn't really matter, because the when we put the bunks back in, or should whoever buys this from us puts the bunks back in, you still have the mattress would be above that, you know what I mean, by I don't know, a good 5 inches plus the comforter, so you have some real estate to play with. So a random project like this where you don't have like your normal, I don't have a bench, or well, I have a table outside, but when I'm trying to build something here, Airstream quality or whatever, take your time and do whatever you need to do. Like, so like I pre-drilled the holes in these boards, made sure they were cut the same. And I have these end pieces where I'm gonna make, basically I'm just gonna make a square. See that? But I'm gonna use the flooring of the RV as my tabletop, if that makes sense. I need to stop saying that too. I say no. It's gonna. There's gonna be drinking games. If we get enough subscribers, people are just gonna get killed drinking too much if I don't stop. So that's anyway. That's another thing. I'll say anyway. Square it up and drive it home. There you go. Put that in over there. Okay, that's what I got so far. Used a level across, like so, for the strip that goes across the wall there. I just screwed it into the end there, and then I put a level on it and made sure that it was level that way. And I did the identical thing here. Put 3 screws on each one. Obviously I'm going to need to do something across the back end here as far as the framing goes, but I haven't even thought about it yet, so yeah, winging it in the keys. We'll see. It's 70 degrees with 70% humidity with no bugs and no breeze, and everything is just in neutral. Okay, so the sun sets at like, I don't know, 5:30. Just like pitch black. But anyway, this is the straightest piece of lumber I had. You can tell it by like say like reading lumber. Look straight down and you can see if it bows left, right, up, or down. Left, right, up, or down. My Uncle Dick taught me that. So I got a very straight piece, and then I measured off to where I want to cut, and then I came in here and measured off like the actual exact where the blade contacts, and so I'm just gonna rip this thing. Total hillbilly deluxe, but make sure this thing's tight. Make sure whatever your guide piece is straight as an arrow, because that's hard to come by. But yeah, I'm gonna rip this thing and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, last night I tried my board trick, didn't work on plastic. The blade just started going whoop away from the fence that I set up. No matter how much pressure I put back on it, it just kept going berserk on me. Cuss words were exchanged with the air. Anyway, now I got this AccuCut deal I'm gonna try. It's made by Craig, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. Anyway, clamped it off, thing, and then try to keep this. That'll fall, and more cussing probably. Editing. Get that. Looks like I got raped by an igloo again. Cooler. Yeah, it's just plastic. So there's my cut to line. I wanted that gone. So you can see it's still a little bit there despite setting up for, I don't know, like 15 minutes of measuring. And then there it is again. So I definitely ran out at least a 1/16 of an inch, but I really need to just lower my standards for cutting on a park bench in Key West. Well, not Key West, but Florida Keys. So now I'm attempting to get away with one because this thing doesn't quite fit. I believe they sell more of these if you want to try to rip a whole sheet. I'm not going to do that because I'm mobile. So it's a little hanky, but well. Anyway, I just kind of eyeballed it this time and confirmed that the blade is going to actually cut. Since the other cut was a 1/16 off, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to rip it and we'll trim it. I got a jigsaw. Yeah, big jigsaw guy. Anyway, this is attempting to cross cut. This time I hit the mark right where I was looking at. And then you can see I'm about proud, maybe a 1/16 inch on the other side. But this is not using their factory clamps. And it's got run out because it's plastic, I think. It's not, you know, the product's moving around. It's just, nothing's perfect here. But it ended up with an okay cut, I think. We'll see how it fits in the trailer, because nothing's going to be square in the trailer either. So I just finished out all the framing that I'm going to do. I'm going to have one panel coming across here. I'm going to radius edge that. That's the panel that I was cutting with the newfangled tool. So I had a 2x4 in the back of the truck. I used the 2x4 so that I can overlay across here and have plenty of surface to screw in for this board, and then plenty of surface for this board going over. I may do 2 boards across here so that I can just easily access just the water heater, because Nikki kind of said that she was only going to put maybe some light objects on top of that. I don't know. But anyway, I went to remove this factory cleat here, and it was double-sided it was double-sided sticky taped to the wall, and I didn't want to deal with that, so I just left it and used 2 nuts and 2 screws down into it, and it's level, so that'll do. And I can leave it, so if we do convert it back to a bunkhouse resale, it'll still work. Alright, so I measured off my first panel, what it needs to be, and I cut it both ways. And the most hill jack way to do it, I got a Home Depot large moving box, and I just trimmed it to match. So now I'm going to take this box inside the trailer, and I'm going to start cutting the curvature so that I know exactly. I'm making a template basically, and then once that template fits perfect, I will transfer it onto this, and I'll cut it with the jigsaw. If I screw it up, I don't know where the other one is. Anyway, I bought option B just in case, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, this is the first fitment. Hill jack incorporated. It looks like I'm gonna be able to trim this thing out just fine. Because I'm either gonna put just one. I'm probably just gonna put one thing across here. I definitely have at least an attempt to do that, so I need to measure from here to here, here to there, and make sure that everything is square, so I can just do one piece. I'm not gonna make some ultra custom part, but that way I can just unscrew it if I need to ever service the water heater right there. But yeah, it's just sitting up a little bit. But you're gonna kind of see the black line. That's a little too maybe screwed up a little there. Actually, now once I trim something like this, it'll move that more towards the wall, since I've got overhang here anyway. Yeah, so I think I can be okay with what's going on there. I'm gonna take some measurements from that back and see where I'm at in space. This is the hardest cut there is because of the radius. So I'm still fighting getting this, I don't know, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch square. As I start trimming this out, it starts walking to square. So there was probably a better way to have done this initially, but I'm not happy with the fitment right now. So if it takes me another 3 or 4 times, I got nothing else to do. So just for like lineup purposes, I like to put a mid mount or mid mark. I put the mid mark on there because now you're making 3 individual measurements. So should you screw up from here over to here, when you go to set your fence up on something like that, because you're not using a table saw, you'd have to screw up twice, if that makes sense, if you get your measurement off. So otherwise, like, you gotta line everything up, and if it's like, oh, it's an inch off one way or the other, now you remeasure everything, and ideally you don't screw up $100 piece of lightweight plastic stuff. This is the nearly end product. This is where I'm starting to run into nothing is square land, because that's a factory edge, right? Well, Airstream says otherwise, so I'm gonna end up having to trim back here so that I can try to get that moved back. But I mean, something like this, I can deal with run out like this, especially for something, you know, I made this in the Florida Keys, for crying out loud. So if I can do it here with just a jigsaw and a circular saw, anyone can do it anywhere.